Against all the evil that hell can conjure, all the wickedness that mankind can produce, we will send unto them only you. Rip and tear until it is done.
Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm your host Gray, and today I'll be presenting my review of Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal is the sequel to the rebooted Doom 2016. One could say it's the reimagining of the original Doom 2. Using their new It Tech 7 engine, Doom Eternal offers faster and more brutal combat compared to its predecessor while expanding its depth and complexity. Starting with the graphics, the new It Tech 7 is simply beautiful. From the detailed character models to insane weapon animation, everything in Doom Eternal feels like a step in the right direction. One of the first things I noticed when starting up the game was the cinematic depth of field. The quality of the depth of field is unlike anything I've ever seen in a AAA game. It adds a cinematic, soft, lifelike quality to the game that is much appreciated. The quality of the texture work and the sheer details in everything from environments to the weapons also mark a huge leap compared to other AAA games in the genre. Environments are varied as nearly no two areas look alike, creating this wonderful experience in which each level feels unique, making exploration and progression a treat. The game offers a variety of weapons, each consisting of modular parts that can be switched seamlessly with a touch of a button. Each weapon has its own feel and weight, exhibiting highly detailed texture work and animation that expresses every shot perfectly. Character models have also taken a leap in quality, as now enemies are more detailed with multiple new enemies returning to the mix. Returning enemies feature increased fidelity and animation quality that puts the preceding Doom 2016 to shame. Enemies features lifelike animation and reacts to your bullets in multiple ways. Dismemberment is also added to the game. The enemy's skin and bone rip apart with each bullet, adding an extra layer to the visual integrity and refinement of the game. Dismemberment also reacts to your weapon, as different weapon will cause enemies' flesh to break apart in different ways. The UI in Doom Eternal has also received a massive overhaul. Instead of the dull and lifeless UI in Doom 2016, the new UI is bright and colorful. Weirdly enough, it feels in place, adding a little retro flair to the game, while also not being massively distracting. The HDR implementation in Doom Eternal is also top-notch. Colors are vibrant and popping to the point of changing the overall tone of the levels and creatures presented. Each area has an extra layer of lighting that showcases the highlights in the shadows and bright areas perfectly. Overall, the game is probably one of the most beautiful games you can buy right now, offering truly next-gen graphical qualities with a refined and filmic look. The most impressive part is that it manages to do all that while maintaining a silky smooth 60 FPS on my rig, which consists of an i7 7700K and a GTX 1080 Ti. The game was played in ultra-wide 1440p and in 4K. Both resolutions managed to maintain a smooth 60 FPS throughout the entire experience. The sound design of Doom Eternal is also an area where it excels. Starting with Mick Gordon's composed soundtrack. It consists of heavy synthesizers and guitars that create moments of pure intensity. Battles usually start by playing the main riff using synths, then slowly escalates to a palm-muted guitar. Shortly after, full-on distortion. This gradual increase in intensity is accompanied by stronger demons, which really made me feel like ripping and tearing through them. The sound effects themselves are also very well made, from the demon's flesh rubbing against each other to the sound of your weapons firing and recharging. Everything was well made and had a realistic tone to it. Furthermore, the sound mixing was phenomenal on headphones and on my studio monitor. However, 5.1 surround sound was present and it sounded the best out of all three configurations. It had the biggest soundstage and the highest dynamic range, making it feel like hell was literally in the room while playing. I did, however, encounter a couple of bugs related to sounds, as one time the music didn't play in a level until I restarted, and another where I was hearing my gun fire repeatedly while not pressing the trigger. It was quite annoying, to be honest, but I had to restart the game to fix it. Overall, the sound design and soundtrack were great, despite the two minor annoyances that happened. Gameplay is where Doom really distinguishes itself from modern first-person shooters, mainly revolving around the classic idea of arena shooters, where you enter a room and monsters start spawning till you eliminate them all. This might sound bland at first, however, due to some clever game design, the game manages to remain fresh even after 15 hours of gameplay. Starting with the levels. Each level is expanded upon compared to the old Doom. Levels are huge mazes, with tons of secrets and collectibles for you to explore. What really made the levels great for me were their emphasis on verticality. Not only do levels span horizontally, but they consist of huge vertical slices that are interweaved together to create a coherent whole. One of the levels even has you running in expansive pathways that are all interconnected, mixed with tons of visual variety, and Doom manages to stay fresh even while replaying it. To help navigate these massive maze-like levels is a 3D map that showcases the layout perfectly, making navigation a breeze instead of a chore. These maps can also be upgraded to reveal several secrets within the level. However, some secrets are not included in these upgrades, making some parts of the game extra secret. Combat in Doom Eternal is by far the best first-person shooter ever made in my opinion. Monsters are incredibly designed. Each demon has its own weak points, and learning to exploit the weak points is key in order to succeed. Resources like ammo and health are scarce. However, using your abilities, you can regain health or ammo depending on the situation. With you is a chainsaw that recharges every couple of seconds. If you kill a monster using the chainsaw, it drops a generous amount of ammo of all variety to help you refill. Also, before a monster dies, it becomes staggered, and if attacked using melee, Doom Guy will literally rip and tear the monster apart while also dropping health orb. This combat loop of maintaining ammo and health through fast and deadly kills never gets old. Learning the ebb and flow of the combat system gets really addicting, especially if, like myself, you like chaining enemies together for some gory eye candy. New to Doom Eternal is a deep and complex upgrade system, which allows you to expand your arsenal by adding 2 modes for each weapon. Each mode can be upgraded using weapon points obtained throughout the game. This opens up a cobweb of levels and abilities that grants extensive skills. This, combined with wonderfully designed enemies, make Doom Eternal one of the best first-person shooters ever made. Platforming is a controversial new addition that was added in Doom Eternal. In this game, Doom Marine can grab onto walls, double jump, and fling himself through bars and poles. While I loved the expanded versatility of the moveset during combat, outside of combat, platforming seems to be a bit too slow, bringing down the overall flow of the game. This was very apparent during the early game, where platforming was more of a hindrance than it should have been, with long and convoluted platforming sections where the right path wasn't always clear. However, later in the game, platforming got better with more interesting puzzles to solve and overall better designed sections. Last thing gameplay related is the new addition of a centralized hub area, which you visit after each mission. This hub includes upgrades and hidden secrets that are worth discovering. In this hub is an area where you can view weapon models and collectibles obtained in missions, like vinyls you can listen to containing old id Software games soundtrack like Quake and Wolfenstein. Overall, the hub is pretty decent, especially if you like looking at the items you collect between levels. I honestly didn't come in expecting a great story from a Doom game. The story is quite basic. Hell is literally on Earth, and you, being the legendary Doom Marine, are on a mission to save it. It starts out with the Doom Marine returning to Earth to kill the demonic priests and stop the invasion. Along the way, you'll be meeting ambiguous characters which are weirdly placed. The story itself is decent, however most of the plot points are usually not accompanied by enough information to allow you to fully experience what's going on. Many characters are there for one scene and say one line, then disappear into oblivion, making no sense to me personally when it comes to character development. Overall, they tried, and it was decent. Nothing special about the story here other than it being decent for a Doom game. It took me 15 hours to finish Doom with most of the secrets and collectibles unlocked. While playing the game, I was on the edge of my seat. The action was intense, the soundtrack heavy, environments beautiful, and it looked and played like a dream. While the story is a bit underwhelming, the overall game wasn't affected at all. I wasn't expecting it to be any good in the first place, and it honestly exceeded my low expectations. After the credit rolled, I was left with the feeling of wanting more and the urge to rip and tear. Thank you for watching, and if you really like the video, please subscribe and like, and maybe leave a comment down below. Also, I really appreciate that you watched it this far. Thank you, and goodbye.